Hello everyone, this is Shannon from That's So Poe, and today I'm doing weeks 10 and 11 of my 2020 reads. These 2 weeks are combined since I was out of town last week, and it was more convenient to film once I got back, so I'm doing both of these weeks together, but that's not such a big deal because I only finished 2 books over the past 2 weeks, so this won't be such a long video, which is a very good thing. So first, I finished The End of the Day by Claire North. This is a pretty interesting premise. It's a story that takes place in modern day, but is very fantastical. It follows Charlie, who has a job as the harbinger of death. So he's employed by death, he has a job, he got interviewed for it, is on payroll, all that sort of stuff. And he's sent around the world to go before death, bringing either warnings or things to honor people before they die. And it's not just people, it's also ways of life and ideas. And this whole book is very interesting. It's got a very unique writing style, very jumbled, often confusing, and really focuses a lot on theme, especially this idea of what is death and what is this idea of honoring life as well as honoring somebody's life before they die. So lots of really interesting ideas in here. It's also very political. It was written around 2016, I believe, and it feels like the author is kind of getting out all of her feelings about how it's the end of the world, everything is dying, everything is coming to an end. So there's a lot in here about grief, a lot in here about ways of life dying. And I really liked the themes in this, but the writing style itself is very confusing at times, often very vague, often very intentionally vague, while at the same time being super heavy-handed with its messaging. So that's a little interesting. I buddy read this with Paul from Weymouth and Rachel from Kalanadi, both of whom I will link below. And Paul DNF'd it pretty early on. It just really was not working for him. And although Rachel finished it, she was not such a fan. I liked a fair amount of this, especially just because I get a lot out of thematic content and I like unique writing styles, but I also had quite a few issues with it. It had a number of things where it got very violent, especially at the end, which I did not like, and also just that mixture of vagueness and heavy-handedness, as well as just some things in there that didn't quite click with me. It was such a mixed bag, I think. I really liked what the author was attempting to do. I liked a lot of the thought-provoking nature of it. I liked the kind of experimental nature of the writing style as well, but I don't feel like it hit every mark so great, and I don't know that it's something I would really recommend for many people. So overall, I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars. I'm not positive that I will go out and borrow another Claire North book right away, although Rachel did say that the 15 Lives of Harry August, something like that, one of the books that Claire North is really well known for, is quite good. So that I will probably eventually read. The other book that I finished was The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. This is a book that is on the shortlist for the BOOKTUBESFF Awards this year, so I wanted to go ahead and read it. I'd heard very mixed things about this, and I was actually really pleasantly surprised. I do not think that this book is going to work for everyone, but it really worked for me. I liked it a lot, actually. I think that the issues with this book are that the things it focuses on, not everybody likes, and the things that it kind of ignores, a lot of people do like. So let me talk about it. So first, this book is about a place called the Starless Sea, and this is a portal fantasy basically. This place, the Starless Sea, is a place of kind of fairy tale and myth, and it's a place of stories. It's almost like a library, but one that is in decline. It's this grand, luxurious place with all of these magical elements, but it has fallen into decline and is sort of decaying. And we follow a character, Zachary, who's in the modern day real world, who ends up getting the chance to go into this portal world. The story sort of splits its time between looking at myths and fairy tales within the Starless Sea and following Zachary. So we have many, many little fairy tales that happen, and then we have Zachary's storyline as he reads about these and as he goes into the Starless Sea. I really, really loved everything to do with the Starless Sea. I loved the way that it was described, the lusciousness, the beauty. I'd heard Kazen at Always Doing, who I will link below, describe this as an atmospheric fantasy where the focus is on the atmosphere, and I agree. I think that you could just fall into that descriptiveness of the world and the beauty of the fairy tales. I loved everything to do with that. It also has a kind of mystery component where as you read along, some of the things that happen in the early on stories start to tie in with other things going on in Zachary's story, and that's a lot of fun for me. So I really enjoyed those aspects of it. However, the parts that had to do with Zachary before he got to the Starless Sea, as well as a couple of other characters in the real world, didn't really work for me. They ended up being a little bit more like spy, espionage, thriller type things, and that didn't work as much. The modern setting didn't have that kind of lusciousness to the atmosphere of the writing that didn't work so much for me. So I always felt a little bit distracted by those sections, those chapters, and wishing we could just go back to the Starless Sea. So for me, I really loved everything to do with the Starless Sea. Could have dealt without those other chapters. I think though for other people, the parts that have to do with the Starless Sea aren't necessarily a cohesive narrative at times. It can feel very disjointed and like there's so many separate stories. So I think that while that's not something that bothers me, I'm totally fine with having lots of short little stories. That could be something that's very off-putting for a lot of readers, and you may not get so much in terms of character development or pretty much anything in terms of plot. So this definitely is not going to be a book for everyone, but I was very pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed it quite a lot. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I definitely want to go read The Night Circus after this. Okay, so those are the 2 books that I finished in the past couple of weeks. I do have a vlog that I'm working on that will go up in a week or 2 as soon as I get it edited from the trip that we took, and in that I talk a bit more about the books as I was reading them and what my impressions were as I was going through. So if you're interested, you could check that out. I will get it up once it's edited, but it may take me a little while because I took a lot of clips and it's going to be kind of long. But in any case, if you've read either of these books or read anything else by these authors you want to share, go ahead, let me know what you think down below. I'd be really happy to hear from you and hear what your thoughts are.